She was born in 1789 in South Africa, among the Khoikhoi people, a proud and resilient community. But history would remember her not for her heritage, but for the suffering she endured. Sarah Baartman was just a young woman when she was taken from her homeland in the early 1800s. She was promised a better life in Europe, but what awaited her was far from kindness. In London and later in Paris, she was paraded before crowds like an animal. They called her the Hottentot Venus, not as a title of honor, but as a mockery. Her body, different from European standards, became a spectacle. People stared, laughed, and even paid to touch her, treating her as nothing more than an object. But behind the performances, behind the forced smiles, Sarah was suffering. Cold, alone, and stripped of her dignity, she lived in extreme poverty, unable to escape the cage they had built for her. At just 26, she died sick, forgotten, and used. But even in death, they would not let her rest. Scientists dissected her body, studying her like a specimen. Her remains were displayed in a museum in France for over a century. Yet history would not erase her. Activists and leaders, including Nelson Mandela, fought for years to bring Sarah home. And finally, in 2002, over 200 years after she was taken, Sarah Baartman was laid to rest in South Africa, where she belonged. Her story is one of pain, but also of resilience. A reminder of the horrors of exploitation, but also of the strength of a woman who should never have been forgotten. Today, we speak her name, not as a spectacle, but as a symbol of justice and remembrance.